If you're thinking about moving to the St. Petersburg, Pinellas side of Tampa, well, this video is for you today. I'm going to save you so much time. I'm going to show you the areas you're going to love and the areas you're probably going to want to scratch off your list. This is going to be the most extensive map video that I can do for you about St. Petersburg and Pinellas counties. So you better get a pen and paper ready because we're getting after it right now. So let's talk about Pinellas County on a map. Let's take a look at the area of St. Pete because I think people get really confused and they think that the Pinellas County area itself is St. Pete. It's not. So let me show you. So you can see here on the map that Pinellas County borders up to Tarpon Springs and all the way down, which I find really interesting, parts of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. Hilarious. I don't think anybody's living on the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. That would be very dangerous. But the area that we're going to really focus on today, because I'll do another video about Palm Harbor, East Lake, Tarpon, that part of the area, because there is some great information about that area. But for right now, we're going to really focus on the Dunedin, Clearwater, Safety Harbor, all of these little neighborhoods and cities that you see that are within Pinellas County. But I'm going to specifically focus on the area of St. Pete because that's why a lot of people come to my channel. Again, I have a ton of St. Pete videos. Check out my playlists for that. I think they're very informative and they kind of give you a lot of the look and feel of what you're going to get in that area. But let's focus over here for a second. I want to talk about, now I'm not really going to focus on Oldsmar. I'm going to save that for the East Lake Woodland video because it really bleeds into that area. But let's just head over west a little bit here in Pinellas County and let's talk about Dunedin. If you've been on my channel for a while, you know I really love Dunedin. There's so many things to offer in this area. Most importantly, you're by, again, what I said in my last map video is you are in close proximity to one of my favorite beaches, which is Honeymoon Island State Park, which is its own island and beach. And that's right over here. So in between Palm Harbor and Dunedin is the causeway here. This is the Dunedin Causeway, and that's Honeymoon Island. Honeymoon Island also has this little island that was created by a hurricane. I think it was 1994. If you remember the year, put that in the chat for me. But I can't remember the name of the hurricane, but it created this little island way back in the 90s. And now we have this really fun state park. You have to take a ferry to it though. Okay. So anyway, if you want more information on my favorite beaches and that sort of thing, you most certainly can reach out to me and I can help you because I am the queen of beaches. So Dunedin I like for several reasons. They've got a wonderful little downtown area. They've got great restaurants, some of my favorite restaurants on the west side of town, because if you want really high-end restaurants, you're going to have to go to downtown, to the Channel District, to even Water Street now. And so Dunedin has the main street there, and there is a pier. Now, the pier did get slightly damaged from the last hurricane, so they're starting to fix that as well. But you can still go a little bit further down, and there's a wonderful restaurant, Old Bay. That's one of my highly recommended restaurants I go to. There's also Casatina, which is Mexican. There's also a sushi restaurant. There's an Italian restaurant. There's bars. There's always a festival going on in Dunedin. Something's going on. Not to mention, if I can get my words out today, not to mention there's Scottish heritage there. I'll put some links in here for you as well, but there's some bagpipers that play around there and it's entertaining. So you're also obviously very close to the Clearwater area. So Clearwater, obviously we're known for our beaches in Clearwater, but Clearwater itself, and if I put it on my map, let me just show you how big it is. As you can see, Clearwater, look at how Clearwater is like a jigsaw puzzle, okay? It goes all the way up here by that. What area is that? Okay, that's on the other side of Safety Harbor up near Oldsmar, actually. So yeah, Clearwater zip codes is kind of all over the place. You can literally be in Dunedin, right? You're over here in Dunedin, but then over here you're in Clearwater. But if you're looking for short-term rentals or even just sort of, if you're having some lease restriction issues in Dunedin, you tend to have less of those restrictions in Clearwater. So again, Clearwater being a wonderful area as well, really kind of, I'm seeing a lot more renovations in these old Florida bungalow homes. And some of them you can get with a pool under $500, because don't forget, putting a pool in Tampa St. Pete in this time in our market is going to run you anywhere from $60 to $100K, depending on your size and all of the little bells and whistles you want to go with it. So Right now, I'm seeing a lot of my buyers are really looking for houses that already have pre-done pools, even if they need a little work, because it's going to be cheaper in the long run. But we are seeing houses under 500 with some pools. Let's go back over here to Safety Harbor for a second. Safety Harbor is another wonderful little area that I absolutely adore. It's got a smaller downtown, like Main Street area than Dunedin, but they've got cute little shops, again, wonderful restaurants. They've got little wine bars. Barfly is one of my favorite. You can get really great, I think it's lobster tacos. They do a lot with lobster there, and I love lobster. There's also the Safety Harbor Inn and Spa, which is very dated, but it's still busy all the time. And it's right there on the water, so you have access. Even if you get like a nail appointment or a massage, you have access to all of the spa features like the saunas and the mineral pools. They've got a proprietary mineral water that gets pumped into the spa features there. So it's kind of cool, but the inside restaurant, not my favorite, but the outside bar, great. And you can sit by the pool and have your burger and enjoy the day. So Safety Harbor has a lot to offer. And here's one caveat though. Safety Harbor, if you pull up a sinkhole map, you're going to see a lot of sinkhole activity in the Safety Harbor area. And so you just have to be careful when you're looking at homes there. Not every home has a sinkhole. Not every area has a sinkhole. And the great thing is a lot of them are being remediated, but it is something that needs to be put on your radar. If you enjoy the Safety Harbor area, you want to probably go a little bit more inland, okay? Inland into these little areas. Sunset Point, especially as you get to US 19, I really like all the area in between here. I sold a house over here and it's really great because you have a lot of shopping right there off of US 19. So US 19 runs north and south in this area, and you're going to have a lot more opportunity for shopping and restaurants if you're not necessarily right in Safety Harbor or right in Dunedin, if that makes sense. Let's go further down because I know everybody's waiting for me to get to St. Petersburg. I'm getting there. A couple of other areas that, again, you may not be aware of that I think you should be is the Bel Air area. Now, I'm partial. If you've been watching my video for a while, you know that I grew up on Bel Air Beach way back when. It was way cheaper than it is now. It's like mega mansions on the water there as you come down from Sand Key. Sand Key being another beach that I really love. Coming down here, and there's obviously mega mansions all up in here, but if you go on the other side of the inlet here and you go in town a little bit more, there's Bel Air Bluffs, there's these Whispering Pines. This whole little corridor in here I really like. Now, there are some pockets that don't look as nice. There are some neighborhoods in there that require a small amount of an HOA. It's really to help with maintaining, I think, the look of the area. It's nothing major. You could probably still park, your boat trailer, or your RV and that sort of thing. It's just really kind of like, I feel like it's skin in the game in these little neighborhoods to make sure that they stay looking fresh. Okay. And here's Bel Air Bluffs down here. And so that leads us into Largo. Now, I had some clients, some lovely clients in town, and we were really trying to help them narrow down the area. And that's what happens when people come to me, right? When they're coming in town, we sit and talk about houses that they like. We look at the area. I kind of give my opinion, like you probably should go drive it. And driving the area with houses that you like is really important because obviously if you like the area, it's location, 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 don't forget. So if you like the area, you're more likely going to like the neighborhood than like the house, and we work it that way. And so while they were in town, they drove lots of these different areas, and it was really great because they were able to narrow down. They thought they were really going to like Largo and the Clearwater and Dunedin area as much as they liked that area. They really loved an area that I'm going to talk about in a minute called Bay Pines. And so we're now focusing on that area, but they also loved the Seminole area. So Largo, I would say, is still a little bit behind the Clearwater and the Seminole area as far as their revamping. Clearwater really worked on their downtown a lot. They're bringing a lot more to that area. Coachman Park being one. Coachman Park is right here. So when you're heading towards the Clearwater area, and by the way, guys, don't forget, Gulf to Bay can get very trafficky during the summer months. with all of our tourism, because you've got the aquarium there, you've got one of the most popular beaches in America, which is Clearwater Beach. And so you can imagine one way in, one way out. So you have to time things accordingly. But Coachman Park, what I was trying to get to, they call it the Baycare Sound. And so there's this whole park with water features, playgrounds, a very big outdoor lawn space, and then you have an amphitheater where we have concerts now, and I've been there, and it's been beautiful. You get the breeze off of the bay, and it's really clean and new, and most of the artists love to shout it out and be like, the green room is the best green room I've ever seen. They gave us amazing food, and everything was clean. So it's worth a shot. I don't necessarily recommend living close to that area. There is that part of Clearwater that I'm not a big fan of. And you'll know it when you see it. It's one of those things, you can understand downtown areas. Everybody has a downtown. And so it just doesn't have that kind of, homey neighborhood feel that you might want. But you can go a little bit more inland, like I mentioned, with Clearwater. So again, the Sound, the Baycare Sound, great little item to put on your to-do list when you're coming to visit. So again, Largo is a little bit behind the curve when it comes to their revamp, but I'm starting to see things turn around. So, I'd keep it on your radar. But I really think areas you need to take a look at are right here, like this Bel Air Bluffs, Harbor Bluffs, Ridgecrest. All of this as you're leading down into Seminole, I really like a lot. In Bardmore is its own little area. There's some 55 and over in here. There are these little communities, and they've got a little bit of everything. There is a golf course. I did a video on Bardmore area. We can pop it up here for you as well, because if you're interested in Bardmore, for one thing, you're high and dry, so no flood insurance, I should say. Not all of them have HOAs in Bardmore, but I think the majority of them do. And it has more to do with, there's a golf course and there is a country club. And then you also have the ability to have little villas or bungalows. If you're 55 and over and you don't want necessarily a house, you have condo options, you have townhome options, you have villa options. So there's something for everybody in Bardmore if that is who you are. If you're 55 and over and you're looking for that kind of life without being in technically a 55 and over community, even though I still think they're cool. Golf cart around and have lots of fun. We do 55 and over is really good in Florida, if you've heard of the villages. So as we move over here, we're going to talk about Pinellas Park. And I just dropped a video last week on Pinellas Park. So again, we'll make that available to you as well. And I think it's a good idea to see the different houses in Pinellas Park. Look, Pinellas Park isn't for everybody. I have a girlfriend of mine. She's also a realtor. She loves it over there. She's in a townhome, and it's a beautiful townhome. I've shown it before. I have 2 Pinellas County videos now. She's in the first one. And we talk about all of the great features of Pinellas Park. So people that are in Pinellas Park really like it, and they end up staying there, but it's not for everybody. So it is an area that you need to drive around to see if it works for you, especially if you like horses. And I love horses. So it's really crazy. All of a sudden, boom, you're at a horse farm. But they do offer riding lessons if you're interested, or if your kids are interested. And so as we move east here near the Gandy Bridge, so you've got the Gandy Bridge here, and you've got 275 coming from Tampa, Feather Sound, High Point. This area tends to be a little bit more, you're going to see a little bit more, what I would say, industrial parks. Like you're going to see big warehouses, and it's where like Raymond James financial offices are. I think it's where their primary office is. I think they have one in downtown Tampa as well. But so those big kind of companies, a Jabil is over there. I think it's Power Design. They've got a big building over there. And it's close to the St. Pete Airport. That's why, depending on which way the wind's blowing, are you going to hear those engines or not? So keep that in mind. But if you go a little bit further south, there's Windward Point. I do like Windward Point. I like Barclay Estates. I really love Riviera Bay. I've done videos on Riviera Bay as well, so take a look at that in my playlist for St. Pete. What I like about it is that you're very close to Weeden Island Preserve. Now, this water tends to be slightly shallow, so it's really great for kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding. You don't feel like you're out in the middle of the bay, and you're going to see nature. You're going to see dolphins, you're going to see manatees, you're going to see turtles, you're going to see all sorts of cool wildlife. And I've talked about, there's some restaurants up here that are right on the water. You can pull up your vessel and get out and have a cocktail and have a sandwich. It's really great. And all of these houses in this area, you have opportunities to be on a canal, which, you know, I'm on a canal, love a canal. But if you don't want to be in a flood zone, stay away from these canals, okay? All right, moving on. I know I'm going a little fast, but I just want to pick up some areas of interest, and then we'll kind of do a little bit of a deeper dive. So pretty much from 275 down, 92 is actually 4th Street. So 4th Street is your most north and south kind of delineation from St. Pete. So if I put St. Pete in here, and you guys, it's St. Pete, not St. Pete's. If you say St. Pete's, they're going to know you're not from here. Pro tip. So as you see, St. Petersburg does cover a pretty wide area of the southern part of Pinellas County. And as you see, it's part of Feather Sound and goes all the way down, like I said, 4th Street being that most central north and south road that goes up and down it, right? And then as you go even further south, you basically hit downtown, and 275 kind of loops and becomes 19. It's like alternate 19, so don't worry about that so much. But as you're seeing on the map here, it will take you over on the beach side. So again, towards Bay Pines, like I mentioned before, and just under Kenneth City and Lealman. We're going to talk about Lealman in a minute. And it does not cover parts of Gulfport. We're going to talk about that in a minute too. So let's get into the heart of St. Pete for a second. Because listen, St. Pete, oh, I love St. Pete, okay? There are amazing festivals that are going on all the time. There is always something going on in St. Pete. You've got the pier downtown, you've got museums, you've got art, music. You can hear the music on the street. It's very eclectic down there. And you can go just a little bit more. I'll show you on the map here. It's probably easier. We've got the Rays Stadium now. After the hurricane, I'm not quite sure what's happening with the Rays Stadium, and I'm sure you guys know, so please be sure to help educate us all on that. But on Central Ave, you can see on Central Ave here, it's sort of the arts district. It starts basically over here at the water, right? So this is the pier right here, and you've got museums here, the Fine Arts Museum, and then you've got, you know, the History Museum there. And if you keep going Central Avenue over, you're in Janice Live. I used to go to Janice Live as a teenager, so it's a cool little outdoor venue spot, kind of nestled in between buildings. So it can get hot, but it is pretty cool. Some of our, you know, the small, like I just saw Violent Femmes there, if you're an 80s fan. The Chihuly Art Gallery is right here, and you're seeing all these like little restaurants pop up, right? Engine number 9, Ferg's. Ferg's is a very popular sports bar. So all of that kind of leads to what used to be the Rays Stadium area. So again, I'm not sure what's going to happen there. Oh, and also the Holocaust Museum. So again, all across there, you're going to see lots of museums, lots of art galleries, lots of really cool restaurants. Again, growing up in Tampa, and we never went to St. Pete, but in Tampa, we only had like, you know, chain restaurants and Cuban food. So now we've expanded our taste buds, luckily. And in St. Pete, you can really have a lot of cool new food. So these young millennials are coming in here and really taking over St. Pete. And I think it's for the best, helping us out a little bit with some tourism, spreading out the tourism. And then downtown, obviously, being right there where, you know, so going up and down Beach Drive here as you're getting to there's Vinoy Park, heading to the Vinoy Hotel that also has an outdoor pool. It has a spa, kind of the same thing as Safety Harbor Inn and Spa. If you get a service, you usually have the spa features included, and you have access to the pool, which has a restaurant. I think that's a beautiful day. I've done it. Love it. And of course, we've got the Coffee Pot Bayou right here, which just popped in my head because I absolutely love the Coffee Pot Bayou. You can see dolphins, you can definitely see dolphins, but the manatees love the bayou because that water is warm and sort of shallow. I mean, there's so much to talk about with St. Pete's side, you guys. Let's just start at the top. Let me make this a little bit more easier for you. So when we were talking about Riviera Bay, let's keep going south here. And there are a couple of areas. Edgemoor is an area I love. Because again, over here, water, they flooded. So we're going to get into that here. I want to show you some alternatives. And as we keep going south, Magnolia Heights, Ellendale Park, 5 Points, Try to get that all out at once. And also over here, you're going to see St. Pete Heights, which I really adore as well. I really like this corridor right now. This is an area I really love. Euclid St. Paul is in that, and it also, sits right on top of North Kenwood. So all of this has been feeding the lack of areas to move to in St. Pete. So everybody wanted to be on the water side forever, right? They wanted to be in the Old Northeast. They wanted to be in that Coffee Pot Bayou or Crescent Lake area. But as that area started to blow up and prices blew up with it, right? And the new construction homes started to happen, it started to push people that are in that 300 to 500 range more west. And so from Crescent Heights, as you see here, you're seeing Greater Woodlawn. So that's an area that's really pretty as well. And you're going to start to see more renovated homes over there and those nicer neighborhoods. So things are starting to bleed into these more west neighborhoods. So again, this whole little chunk right here, I would say from US 19, so put this on your list. I would go US 19, 30th Avenue North, down that 4th Street, which is 92, all the way down. Honestly, I'd go all the way down to right here, which is that Alt 19, where you've got historic Uptown. I love that area. Love it, love it, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Everybody that sees it's like, oh, I love that area. It's so small and it's so hard to find houses over there. But if you're looking to be close to the areas of St. Pete that have all that high energy, buzzing, people walking around, scooters, music, festivals, art galleries, great restaurants, you can still be in close proximity. In this little box is an area you should really consider, okay? I said I was going to talk about it, so I want to talk about it. What area is flooded? It's really sad. It's hard to always predict what's going to flood, but of course, anything near water is probably going to flood, okay? Especially when we had the 2 hurricanes back to back, we had storm surges, and then the second hurricane really pumped a lot of water, and we hadn't recovered yet. So it was really sad. And I had friends that did not even live anywhere near this area, but they lived near 4th Street, and they got flooded about 4 feet. But I think that was from the storm surge. And that, you guys, is just something we cannot control. We don't know how far inland that's going to go. But they're still like close, right? So just depends on how scared you are about that. We can't predict when the next one's going to come and what's going to happen. So you got to take it for what it's worth, Shore Acres. I sold a house on Shore Acres. Now, it was elevated. It's such a beautiful neighborhood. It's got a little bridge leading over to it. These homes are massive, and they're just what you would think living on the bay in Tampa of St. Petersburg would feel like. It's just, it's to die for. But you want to make sure, it doesn't mean you can't live on Shore Acres, but you got to know it's going to flood. So most of the houses over there are beginning to be raised, where their garages are first, right? And they're all block. And all block is easier than, we do wood frame here, but you don't want wood frame. So we'll talk about that. But most of the houses now, the majority of them, especially after these hurricanes, I think they're going to be following in tow, is making that garage level, usually about 9 feet. So you're going to have block, and then your first level is going to be the house. And that usually can give you some good protection. So I'm going to show you Shore Acres here in the next couple of weeks. I want to go and Snell Isle. I want to go see how the damage is and what's been going on. Last time I was over there, there's still debris. You got to remember it just still taking time to get everything back to somewhat normal. All right, so let's keep moving. We talked about those areas inland. And, again, you guys, I love the Old Northeast. Those that don't know where this is, historical Northeast. So it's right there. I knew it was that little chunk, right? So I think it's probably one of the prettiest neighborhoods in St. Pete, and some of the most interesting houses, and you have boating options there. A lot of people have slips there. You have your own boat dock and a lot of them are raised. So you have, anyway, if you're a boater, that's really a great area, as well as Snell Isle. All right. So downtown St. Petersburg is full of high-rise homes. If condo living is your thing, let me tell you, that would be what I would do because it's beautiful. You have amazing views. Most of these newer buildings have really cool amenities and features, and you can walk downstairs basically and walk to your favorite restaurant or coffee shop, or go to these cool little beaches we have right here. It's not really a beach, I shouldn't say that. North Shore Park is grass, but there are some little areas of sand that people do kind of hang out on. So all of that right along the water there is super cool. So let me go a little inland for a moment and let's discuss Kansas City, Leelman, and Diston Heights. These three areas are high and dry. We love it, right? Diston Heights is probably my number one of the three. Kansas City, number two, and Leelman, I'm not sure I can even give it a number because I'm not a fan. If you out there know pockets of Leelman that are great, I would love to hear about it in the comments, and I will go record a video for it. I've been having a hard time finding anything redeeming about Leelman as far as the homes, the neighborhoods. Yes, the prices are low, but the homes, oh my gosh, you guys, I don't know. So hit me up and let me know what you think. But I really personally love Diston Heights, and it's very traditional Florida homes. Some of them are smaller than others. Again, there's a lot of renovations going on in some of these smaller homes. Something that we have come across with some of my buyers is there might be a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 3-bedroom, 1-bath. It's like, how did these people survive with 1 bathroom for so long? I do not know. But you have to, and sometimes they convert the garage to a 2nd bedroom or an ensuite, like a primary with an ensuite. So you might lose a garage. So you just have to be careful when you're looking in that area. And again, some streets look better than others. Some might not look so great, but they're still great. It's quiet over there. It's a little bit more spread out, because don't forget, Pinellas County in general is very densely populated, more so than Tampa. Kansas City, I like. Kansas City is basically akin to Diston Heights as far as, to me, as look and feel. And you're getting closer to the beaches, which I love. And you've got Bay Pines just right over there. So it's a hop skip to the beach. And you've got Tyrone Square, which they've really redone. So there's a lot more shopping right here. So let's just jump over to Jungle Prada for a second, because it's another one of my favorites. Jungle Terrace, Jungle Prada is kind of the same thing. There's one little area called Jungle Prada, and it's really kind of posh. There's peacocks all over the place, and there's peacock crossing signs everywhere, and it is lush. Jungle Terrace is named exactly the way it should be named. It feels very jungly over there. Lots of tropical plants and lots of coverings, and the homes are just lovely. They were under the radar for a long time, and so I think the prices have been creeping up. We'll see with how our market is shifting, but that's an area, if you're in the, I would say 500 and up, I would look at Jungle Terrace. It is stunning. You're near Tyrone Square, so you can shop, and then you can just hop over Alt 19 and you're in Bay Pines. You're at the beach, baby. So just because you're on the inlet here, not all of these areas are in a flood zone. It depends on how far away from the water you're getting. So don't completely rule it out, but the houses are just stunning. I can't say any more than that. Okay, and there's also South Pasadena that I like. And that's just south here of the Tyrone Square and the Jungle Prada area, South Pasadena, into South Pasadena Beach. Another stunning beach. Listen, are any beaches not good? I don't think so. It really has more to do, I think, with the crowd control. Like, some of this area was affected by a lot of it was affected by the hurricane. So a lot of these areas are still working on coming kind of back to life. There was a lot of amazing restaurants down here that got damaged. These old beach bars that have been there for decades are gone. So a lot of them are thinking about rebuilding and what they can do, but they've pretty much, cleaned up the beaches so that we can get ready for tourism season and that sort of thing. And while we're down here, let's talk about Gulfport. So Gulfport historically was a traditional, 55 and over area. And a lot of the condos over there are still 55 and over. Now they've kind of done a little mix of it. and only a certain percentage is 55 and over, or they allow for a certain percentage of non 55 and over. I also put in a lovely woman over here that she found me on YouTube as well, over in some of the condos, and she's happy as a little clam. She's got this amazing view of the bay. I can't even tell you. She's on the 4th floor, and she looks right out to the bay. It's from her sofa. It's crazy. So Gulfport did flood, you guys. I don't know how far up, but there was some flooding because this area is just older, and these houses, listen, they needed to be renovated and fixed. I had another couple that I've been working with for a couple of years, and they were really interested in Gulfport, and we just couldn't seem to find a house that didn't have something major wrong with it. So again, you always have to do your due diligence. We have inspectors. I would definitely look at termite inspection down there as well, because some of the houses have frames still. But as far as a fun area to even just visit, Gulfport has its own main street. Really, it's Beach Boulevard. So you've got a lot of little eateries here and there, but you also have the pier. You've got this pier right here. You've got your own little beach and recreational area. You've got playground. You've got a rec center, and you've got a skate park. And my beautiful client is over here somewhere looking out at this bay. So Gulfport is its own vibe. It still has traditionally some 55 and over there. I'm starting to see a little bit more of a mix. There was traditionally some short-term rental areas as well. I think they've been cracking down on that. So you always have to double check with what the county allows and what the HOAs of the area allow, if there are HOAs in the area. And if it's a condo, you have to check with the condo association. So it's not a black and white answer when it comes to short-term rentals, just so you know, especially now. Let's discuss the beaches briefly, because I probably just need to do another beach video. But as you are in Pinellas County, you're in beach country, my friends. So obviously Clearwater Beach is up here, Bel Air Beach, Bel Air Shores. Again, that's going to be a little bit more of a private beach. So if you're lucky, you can find your way in. If you want to know how to get to Bel Air Beach, let me know. I know the secret. Indian Rocks Beach is another wonderful one. Obviously, Indian Shores, Reddington, Madeira. Madeira is probably one of my favorites as well. Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach. So remember, St. Pete Beach is separate from St. Pete. It's just got the name St. Pete. And then you go all the way down, and that's Paso Grill. And then you've got Terra Verde, which is another little poshy, expensive, as you can imagine, beautiful area to live with its own private beaches, as you can see here. And they've got Shell Key, and you can take this road all the way down to Fort DeSoto Park, and that splits, and you can go to either point beach-wise. And they also have a really big dog beach. This is also a wonderful beach alternative as you're leading out of the St. Pete area. So let's go back up. Talked about Gulfport. Let's talk very briefly about this area. So this is where it gets a little still sketchy, let's say. The historic Rosa Park area, they're really starting to revamp that area. Listen, some of this area is still bleeding from the old downtown St. Pete era, right? We were very popular. St. Pete was popular on the show Cops, if you're old enough to remember, for being the meth capital of the country. So listen, it takes a while for things to kind of turn over, but you're going to have some lower income housing smothered in with some of these other houses. It's just normal in our area, Tampa, St. Pete in general. So I have to be careful with my words because some people don't like the way that I describe that, but it's the truth. I can't explain it another way. There's low income housing mixed with some middle income housing. And I'm not saying that those houses need to go away. I don't want them to. I am not very happy about them pushing out these people. I think they need to make it affordable for them as well. It's not fair. So with that said, you still, as somebody who is looking to purchase a home, you want to be safe and you want to have what you want, and you have a right to that. But you have to be careful when there's certain areas you're going to. You need to do your own research and decide for yourself if you feel safe there, if it feels okay to you. And also do your research on niche.com. And we'll talk about that in a minute, as far as, the crime rates and things that are important to you, you need to do your research with. I'm just a guide, right? I can only tell you so much. And so that little area right there is just a little, be careful with what I say. It still has a little bit of the low income housing, these houses that probably need some love, but there's still also the renovated homes going in there as well. The problem that I'm seeing though is that they're way overpriced for the area. If you're going into a low income neighborhood and you're putting a $500,000 new construction home, it's going to sit. These things do not blend. Now that we're starting to see them blend a little bit, but that's just what I have to say about that area. And as you go further south, here's the issue. The further south you go on this little area, this little bulbous area of St. Pete, the less there is around. So I've noticed, even though Coquina Key, I do like Coquina Key, and Lakewood Estates, Bahama Shores, and the greater Pinellas Point, I like, but you kind of have to drive to anything. Like now they've finally got a Bell's over there, it looks like, and they've got an Aldi's, but there hasn't been a lot from a shopping and everyday use kind of thing that you're going to need, right? Like, is there a Costco? Don't think so. I'm sure there's a Publix or two. We have Publixes everywhere, but you're going to have to drive north or going over to South Pasadena and Gulfport to do any shopping or get any sort of real decent food, in my opinion. So I'm sure y'all are going to let me know in the comments if I've missed something in that regard. So that is pretty much my overview of everything from Dunedin south within Pinellas County, including obviously the St. Pete area. It really has to do with what your needs are. Do you want to be in close proximity to the beach? Do you want to be in close proximity to the downtown area? Do you want to be in close proximity to big box shopping? It's going to be a little bit more interesting to navigate over in that area because everything's so densely populated and so many things are kind of crammed together. So you're gonna probably have to travel a little bit to get to like your Best Buys and your Costco's and that sort of thing. But for the most part, everybody's got either a fresh market, Whole Foods, or a Trader Joe's, or of course our Publix, and even a Winn-Dixie. You've got a smattering of all of that around. And you've got little boutique shops too, which I really like. I like to shop local. And even some of those neighborhoods I showed you over here in Magnolia Heights comes to mind the most. This area right here. They, and all that right in here, they have little community events. They have their own little festivals and farmers markets, and they've got local restaurants near them as well. So, giving back to the local area, they're really big on. So again, just depends on what you're looking for. And if you're looking to live closer to the beach, then you're gonna have to work your mind over to get a little bit out of the St. Pete area and think about living over here in Pasadena or Kenneth City or Bardmore if you're 55 and over, Bay Pines, Seminole. All of this in here is going to be, depending on how close to the water you are, potentially no flood zone and no HOA. So again, my clients that came in town, they fell in love with the Bay Pines area and Seminole. So we're looking in this little area over here and there's no flood, no flood. So it doesn't mean you can't flood. Just means you're not in the flood zone if it's an X. So don't forget, I have a ton of St. Pete videos. Make sure you check out my playlist. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm here to support you and help you. And of course, if you need a real estate agent in the Central West Coast of Florida, I'm your girl. And we're gonna talk next map video about Dunedin North up to Tarpon Springs. We're gonna dive in a little bit deeper into that. So I hope this video was helpful for you today. And I would love to hear from you in the comments if you've got anything to add. And until next time, everybody, I'll see you around. Bye-bye.